Apparently, buying an iPhone now legally entitles you to rewrite physics, override warranty policy, and personally retrain the Genius Bar. And that's just complaint number 3. Wait until you hear what she demanded at number 17. 1. A sharply dressed suburban mother in Dallas marched into an Apple store holding a 2-year-old iPhone like it had personally betrayed her. She announced that the battery health reading was emotionally deceptive because it showed 82% capacity, and that number made her feel misled. She insisted the phone was advertised as powerful and therefore should still last all day exactly like it did on launch week. The Genius Bar technician calmly explained how lithium batteries naturally degrade over time and offered a paid battery replacement. He even showed her the support page. She blinked slowly and said degradation sounded like a manufacturing defect. She reminded him she had paid over $1,000 and that kind of investment should guarantee long-term excellence. When he repeated the replacement cost, she accused Apple of designing phones to fail and said she would contact corporate and demand a loyalty refund for declining performance. Apparently, physics is optional when you keep the original box. 2. A wellness influencer in Arizona scheduled a Genius Bar appointment because her iCloud storage was full. She had 64 gigabytes of photos of her dog, her meals, and screenshots of inspirational quotes. She claimed Apple never warned her that cloud storage had limits and that the term cloud implied infinity. The employee calmly pulled up her account details and showed the monthly plan options. He explained she had been using the free tier for years. She crossed her arms and said free storage should expand automatically for verified creators. When he clarified that storage upgrades require a subscription, she said subscriptions are manipulative and she refuses to be trapped by digital landlords. She demanded Apple manually archive her photos without charging her. The employee offered tips for deleting duplicates. She stared at him as if he suggested burning her house down. She threatened to post a video about Apple silencing small creators over $10 a month, because apparently the cloud owes her unlimited sky. 3. A retired school principal in Florida came in furious about a tiny scratch on her screen. She insisted it appeared overnight and therefore must have formed internally. She claimed the glass cracked from stress due to defective engineering. The technician examined the phone and gently pointed out the visible impact mark near the corner. He explained that accidental damage is not covered under the standard warranty. She immediately corrected him and said the phone was in a protective case, which should transfer responsibility back to Apple. When he offered a screen replacement quote, she accused him of blaming the customer. She said a premium brand should absorb minor cosmetic damage to preserve reputation. She hinted that she knows her consumer rights and mentioned small claims court in the same breath. The employee remained polite and offered Apple Care for future incidents. She said she should not have to buy insurance against their weak glass. The scratch was smaller than her thumbnail. The outrage was not. 4. A high-powered real estate agent in Chicago stormed in because her Face ID stopped working after she dropped her phone in a sink. She insisted that water resistance means waterproof and that she should be able to live normally without consequences. The specialist calmly asked about the circumstances. She admitted it sat submerged for several minutes while she finished a call. He explained the difference between splash resistance and full waterproofing. She waved her hand and said marketing language is intentionally vague. When he showed the water damage indicator inside the device, she accused Apple of placing those indicators to avoid accountability. She demanded a complimentary replacement because she relies on Face ID for business security. The employee offered a paid repair. She leaned closer and said if her next closing is delayed because of this, she will invoice Apple for lost commission. It turns out IP ratings do not bend for real estate schedules. 5. A tech-obsessed mother in New Jersey insisted her son's iPad slowed down because Apple forced updates to make older devices obsolete. She said it worked perfectly until the latest software version installed automatically. The technician checked the model and explained it was 6 years old and still receiving updates for security. He demonstrated that the storage was nearly full and that background apps were running constantly. She shook her head and said that sounds like corporate scripting. She demanded a rollback to the previous software version. He calmly explained that downgrades are not supported. She accused Apple of controlling user autonomy and said she would start a petition in the school parent group. When he suggested clearing space or upgrading, she said that proves her point about planned obsolescence. She left declaring she will expose this scheme online, because nothing screams conspiracy like a tablet filled with games and zero free storage. 6. A frequent traveler in Seattle arrived angry that her trade-in value was lower than she expected. She had cracked the back glass but insisted that cosmetic damage should not affect resale because the phone still powered on. The employee explained the trade-in estimate adjusts based on condition and showed her the assessment criteria. She said the website previewed a higher value and that Apple was baiting customers into store visits. He calmly clarified that final inspection determines the amount. She crossed her arms and accused the store of downgrading devices to maximize profit. When he offered to return the phone instead of completing the trade-in, she said that would waste her time, and she deserves compensation for inconvenience. She hinted at filing a complaint for deceptive advertising. The back of the phone looked like a spiderweb. The valuation reflected reality. She wanted optimism priced in. 7. A design perfectionist in Los Angeles complained that the in-store lighting made her new phone color look different than it did online. She said the website photos showed a cooler tone and that the showroom lights were distorting her purchase decision. The specialist explained that product images are professionally lit and may appear slightly different under various lighting conditions. She asked for the store manager and demanded they adjust the lights so she could confirm the shade. The manager politely declined and suggested stepping outside for natural light comparison. She said she should not have to test products in public like a lab experiment. She requested a price adjustment for color. Inconsistency. When told that returns are available within the policy window, she argued that returning would harm her productivity, and Apple should compensate her for the confusion. She left saying she expected better aesthetic integrity from a trillion-dollar company. The phone was the same color the entire time. 8. A self-described tech minimalist in Portland was outraged that AppleCare did not retroactively cover damage from last month. She purchased the plan after cracking her screen and assumed coverage would apply instantly to existing damage. The representative gently explained that AppleCare must be added within a specific window and cannot cover prior incidents. She insisted that insurance is about protection, and she felt emotionally unprotected during the gap. He repeated the policy and offered a standard repair quote. She said the fine print was predatory and that loyal customers should receive grace periods. She threatened to escalate to corporate because denying retroactive coverage felt unethical. The employee remained calm and suggested reviewing the terms online. She accused him of hiding behind technicalities. The policy had not changed in years. Her timeline simply did not cooperate with it. 9. A fitness enthusiast in Miami demanded a refund for her Apple Watch because it did not motivate her to exercise. She said the marketing implied lifestyle transformation. The specialist explained that the watch tracks activity but cannot enforce habits. He showed her the activity rings and health metrics. She said she expected push notifications to be more aggressive and that gentle reminders do not match her ambition. When told the return window had expired, she said that motivation takes time and the product failed its promise. She argued that if she did not lose weight, the device was misrepresented. The employee offered tips for customizing alerts. She replied that she should not have to configure something that claims to be smart. She mentioned contacting consumer protection over aspirational false advertising. The watch counted every step. It just refused to walk for her. 10. A corporate executive in New York was furious that her MacBook keyboard repair was not same day. She said her time is billed hourly, and Apple should respect that. The technician explained that parts needed to be ordered and that the repair queue was several days long. She said she had a presentation and could not function without her laptop. He offered a rental suggestion and reminded her of turnaround estimates provided at check-in. She insisted premium customers deserve priority lanes. When told repairs are handled in order, she accused the store of lacking urgency. She suggested that Apple compensate her for downtime if revenue was lost. The staff remained composed and reiterated the timeline. She finally declared she would reconsider her loyalty to the brand. The keyboard still needed parts. Her schedule did not change the supply. Chain. 11. A tech-savvy grandmother in Ohio demanded that Apple unlock her late husband's iPhone without documentation because she knew the vibe of his passcode. She said marriage should grant digital access by default. The employee explained privacy laws and the need for proper legal paperwork. She leaned closer and said she found it offensive that a corporation would question her relationship. He remained patient and outlined the official account recovery process. She accused Apple of protecting criminals instead of widows. When told the store cannot bypass encryption, she insisted they must have an internal master key. She hinted that refusing her request was discriminatory against seniors. The staff offered condolences and repeated the policy. She threatened to contact the news about corporate cruelty. Encryption did not bend. It simply did its job. 12. A social media consultant in Atlanta accused the Apple Store of sabotaging her productivity because her phone overheated during video editing. She said she bought the device for professional content creation and expected it to handle constant 4K recording without pause. The technician checked diagnostics and explained that prolonged high-performance tasks can cause temporary heat warnings. He suggested optimizing settings and taking cooling breaks. She said real creators do not take breaks. She demanded a replacement because her previous phone never displayed a temperature alert. He pointed out that usage patterns were heavier now. She claimed the device was defective and threatened to post a detailed thread exposing Apple's creator hostility. When offered a performance test in store, she declined and said she trusts her experience more than diagnostics. The phone was working within design limits. Her expectations were not. 13. A luxury lifestyle blogger in Nevada insisted her AirPods battery drain constituted emotional distress because she relies on them during daily affirmations. She said one earbud lasting slightly less time than the other proved inconsistency in craftsmanship. The specialist explained minor variance is normal and offered a battery test. She demanded a brand new pair since she purchased them 8 months ago. When reminded of the warranty terms, she said premium audio should age gracefully. She implied that as a frequent Apple customer, she deserves discretionary upgrades. The employee offered a paid battery service. She accused him of nickel and dimming loyal users. She mentioned writing a scathing review about asymmetrical energy flow. The earbuds still played music, just not her preferred narrative. 14. A suburban PTA organizer in Colorado was outraged that her child's forgotten screen time passcode required a reset process. She said parental authority should override digital safeguards instantly. The technician calmly described the reset steps and the need for Apple ID verification. She complained that the system assumes she is irresponsible. When told security features prevent unauthorized access, she said she is the authorization. She demanded that the store manually unlock the device because she had a school project due that night. The staff explained they cannot bypass security without credentials. She hinted at reporting Apple for obstructing education. The iPad waited patiently. The passcode remained loyal to logic. 15. A boutique owner in Boston accused Apple of false advertising because her brand new phone did not improve her store's online engagement. She claimed better camera quality should automatically translate into more sales. The employee explained that device performance does not control algorithms or customer behavior. She said marketing implied business empowerment. He clarified that tools assist, but outcomes vary. She requested a refund because the phone failed to deliver measurable ROI. When reminded of the return policy window, she argued that business cycles extend beyond 2 weeks. She suggested Apple partner with her shop as compensation. The representative maintained professionalism and declined. The camera captured images clearly. The internet remained unpredictable. 16. A meticulous accountant in Phoenix demanded a refund for a charging cable she claimed was psychologically unreliable because it only worked at certain angles. The technician inspected the phone port and found lint buildup. He cleaned it carefully and demonstrated a secure connection. She watched in silence and then said the cable should have signaled the obstruction. He explained that debris in ports is common and routine maintenance is normal. She insisted the product design should prevent dust accumulation entirely. When told no device is immune to environment exposure, she accused Apple of engineering inconvenience. She asked for a complimentary accessory for the stress caused. The cable functioned perfectly after cleaning. The accusation did not. 17. A career consultant in Washington demanded compensation because her phone alarm did not wake her for an early flight. She insisted the device failed its most basic responsibility. The Genius Bar employee reviewed settings and discovered the alarm volume was set low, and Do Not Disturb was enabled with a schedule. He gently explained how the configuration affected alerts. She said she should not need technical knowledge to trust an alarm. He offered guidance on adjusting settings and suggested testing alarms before critical events. She accused Apple of poor user-centric design and requested reimbursement for her missed flight. When informed that user settings are controlled by the owner, she said the interface should prevent self-sabotage. She mentioned consulting a lawyer about negligent design. The phone rang exactly as programmed. It simply followed instructions. 18. A high-strung marketing director in San Diego stormed into the Apple Store demanding a full refund for her Apple Music family plan because her teenage daughter downloaded explicit songs. She said Apple allowed inappropriate content into her household and therefore violated parental trust. The specialist calmly explained that content filters and explicit restrictions can be enabled in screen time settings. He even offered to show her how to activate them. She interrupted and said she should not have to monitor technology she pays for. She insisted the platform should automatically detect her family values. When he clarified that personalization requires user input, she began recording him on her phone. She announced she would post the video titled, "Apple Endangers Children for Profit." The store manager repeated that parental controls are available and free. She demanded a refund for every month her daughter had access to lyrics she disapproved of, because apparently corporate responsibility now includes psychic parenting. 19. A sharply dressed attorney in Houston arrived furious that her iPhone storage upgrade charged her immediately instead of at the end of the billing cycle. She said she assumed the fee would prorate in a more client-friendly manner. The employee calmly pulled up the subscription terms and showed the clear monthly charge structure. She said the wording lacked warmth and therefore constituted deceptive presentation. When he offered to downgrade her plan, she said that would cause operational disruption to her workflow. She leaned on the counter and said she understands contract language very well. She implied that hidden fee litigation is her specialty. The employee remained composed and offered to submit formal feedback. She demanded a courtesy credit for the stress caused by unexpected financial extraction. The charge was $9. The performance was worth far more, $20. A fitness-obsessed lifestyle coach in Denver insisted that her Apple Watch heart rate monitor misrepresented her workout intensity and damaged her brand credibility. She said she posted screenshots showing lower calorie burn than she verbally claimed. The technician explained that calorie estimates are based on input data and sensor readings. He suggested recalibrating the watch. She accused him of implying she misrepresented her effort. When he calmly repeated the calibration process, she said Apple should manually adjust her metrics to reflect perceived exertion. She mentioned she has thousands of followers who trust her data. She hinted that if Apple does not support creators, she will recommend competitor devices publicly. The employee offered a diagnostic test which showed normal function. She demanded written confirmation that the device was limiting her potential. The watch tracked movement. It did not track ego. 21. A luxury traveler in Miami arrived outraged that her iPhone did not automatically connect to international roaming without additional fees. She said global connectivity should be included in premium hardware pricing. The store representative explained that roaming charges are set by carriers and not controlled by Apple. She waved off the distinction and said brands should collaborate to prevent inconvenience. When told she would need to contact her carrier, she began filming the interaction. She announced she was exposing corporate finger-pointing. The manager calmly reiterated the separation between device manufacturer and service provider. She demanded Apple credit her for the roaming charges because the phone allowed the connection. When refused, she threatened to dispute the original phone purchase through her credit card company. The phone worked exactly as designed. The borders did not disappear with the price tag. 22. A self-proclaimed digital rights activist in Portland accused the Apple Store of surveillance because her Siri suggestions reflected recent searches. She insisted the phone was listening even when she disabled certain features. The technician patiently explained on device processing and privacy. Settings. He demonstrated how suggestions are generated based on usage patterns. She said that explanations sounded rehearsed and demanded a written guarantee that no audio data was stored. When offered official privacy documentation, she dismissed it as corporate propaganda. She asked for a technician to swear under oath that Apple does not spy on customers. The employee remained steady and repeated that Apple emphasizes privacy. She declared she would file a formal complaint with federal agencies and organize a boycott outside the store. The suggestion list remained unchanged. Her suspicion expanded. 23. A determined PTA fundraiser in Atlanta demanded a refund for an app purchases her child made during a mobile game downloaded on her iPhone. She admitted she gave him her password once for homework access. The Apple specialist calmly explained the refund request process and parental purchase controls. She said the company should automatically detect when a child is spending money impulsively. When told that enabling purchase approval is the parent's responsibility, she accused Apple of exploiting minors. She threatened to contact local news about predatory microtransactions. The representative processed a partial refund as a courtesy and reminded her to update settings. She insisted that courtesy implies fault and demanded full reimbursement for all past purchases. The game developer policies were clear. The outrage was selective. 24. A corporate consultant in Chicago claimed her MacBook battery swelling was proof of negligence and demanded compensation for emotional trauma. She said she noticed the trackpad lifting and immediately feared an explosion. The technician calmly inspected the device and confirmed battery expansion, which is rare but serviceable. He offered a free battery replacement under a repair program. She said replacement was insufficient because she experienced anxiety for 3 days. She requested a brand new, upgraded model for her. Distress. When told that policy covers repair, not upgrades, she accused Apple of ignoring mental health impact. She hinted at consulting a lawyer about unsafe product design. The store manager reiterated the repair solution. The battery would be replaced. Her demand would not. 25. A fashion-focused influencer in Los Angeles complained that her front camera slightly softened her features in certain lighting. She said the device altered her appearance and damaged authenticity. The employee explained image processing and HDR adjustments. He offered to adjust camera settings and disable filters. She insisted the default configuration should flatter without manipulation. When told photography varies by environment, she accused Apple of misrepresenting natural beauty. She began live streaming inside the store, narrating her disappointment. The manager calmly asked her to stop filming other customers. She claimed transparency rights. She demanded either a refund or a public apology from Apple, acknowledging algorithmic distortion. The camera captured reality. Her expectations preferred editing. 26. A high-earning entrepreneur in New York demanded priority service because she claimed to own significant Apple stock. She said shareholders deserve expedited Genius Bar access. The employee politely explained appointments are handled in order regardless of ownership. She stated that her investment supports the company's success and therefore entitles her to premium treatment. When told the policy does not differentiate, she threatened to escalate to investor relations. She recorded the cue and announced to others that shareholders are being ignored. The manager calmly thanked her for her investment and reiterated the appointment system. She demanded a written explanation for why her capital contribution does not translate to immediate service. The stock certificate remained irrelevant to the repair line. 27. A meticulous blogger in Seattle accused the Apple store of age discrimination because the technician suggested upgrading from her 5-year-old MacBook. She said recommending newer models implied older users are obsolete. The specialist explained that certain software updates require newer hardware. She insisted that suggestion carried cultural bias. When he clarified performance limitations of older processors, she said that narrative marginalizes longevity. She demanded a discount as reparations for technological shaming. The employee remained calm and offered to optimize her existing device. She threatened to file a discrimination complaint and leave detailed reviews naming staff. The MacBook still functioned within its generation. The accusation was more current than the processor. 28. A suburban mother in Orlando insisted that Apple replace her lost AirPods because Find My showed their last location at a coffee shop. She said the app proved corporate awareness of the item's disappearance. The technician explained that location tracking does not imply liability for loss. She argued that if Apple can show the location, they can retrieve them. When told retrieval is the owner's responsibility, she accused the company of enabling theft. She demanded complimentary replacement as a loyalty gesture. The employee offered to guide her through lost mode features. She threatened to dispute the original AirPods purchase and report the store for poor security. The map displayed a dot. It did not deliver. 29. A highly anxious corporate trainer in Boston accused Apple of sabotaging her presentation because her MacBook Auto updated overnight. She said she disabled updates mentally and assumed the system understood her schedule. The technician calmly explained update settings and how to defer installations. She insisted she should not need to navigate technical menus before important events. When told updates improve security, she accused Apple of prioritizing its interests over her livelihood. She demanded compensation for embarrassment at her seminar. The manager offered to help configure update timing. She threatened to send an invoice for lost reputation damage. The software updated as scheduled. Her calendar was not consulted. 30. A self-declared minimalist in Austin demanded that Apple remove pre-installed apps from her iPhone entirely. because she considers them clutter. She said hiding them is not enough and that storage space equals personal freedom. The specialist explained which apps can be deleted and which are system integrated. She insisted system integration is a form of digital coercion. When shown the negligible storage impact, she dismissed the numbers as irrelevant. She demanded a custom firmware version tailored to her philosophy. The employee politely declined and referenced product design standards. She threatened to organize an online campaign for customizable operating systems. The icons stayed. Her protest grew louder than the storage they occupied. 31A. Recently divorced financial advisor in Phoenix demanded Apple unlock her ex-husband's shared iCloud account because she contributed financially during the marriage. She said shared payments equal shared access. The technician calmly explained privacy boundaries and account ownership rules. She leaned forward and said, withholding access is financial abuse. When told legal documentation is required for account disputes, she accused Apple of siding with him. She threatened to subpoena corporate records and name-dropped attorneys loudly in the store. The manager reiterated that Apple cannot intervene in personal disputes. She demanded escalation to corporate headquarters immediately. The account remained protected. The argument did not. 32. A tech blogger in San Francisco accused the Apple Store of suppressing her voice because her blog app crashed on her older iPhone. She said Apple intentionally degrades third-party apps to favor its ecosystem. The technician ran diagnostics and found outdated software. He recommended updating the app and the operating system. She insisted updates are strategic traps to slow devices. When shown that the crash logs pointed to the app developer, she dismissed the data as manipulated. She threatened to publish a detailed expose accusing Apple of anti-competitive behavior. The employee calmly provided developer contact information. The crash persisted. The conspiracy expanded. 33. A luxury spa owner in Scottsdale demanded reimbursement because her iPhone speaker volume seemed lower than her previous model. She said ambient music in her spa now lacked immersive quality. The technician demonstrated volume settings and equalizer options. She insisted premium upgrades should automatically enhance ambiance. When told speakers are designed for balanced output, she accused Apple of downgrading audio to push accessory sales. She demanded a complimentary HomePod to compensate for diminished atmosphere. The manager politely declined and offered a return within policy. She threatened to leave a viral review about declining audio excellence. The speaker produced clear sound. The dissatisfaction amplified. 34. A fiercely competitive startup founder in Silicon Valley demanded Apple issue a written statement that her phone glitch during a live investor pitch was due to temporary network instability. She said credibility hinges on perception. The technician reviewed the device and found no hardware fault. He explained that network reliability depends on service providers and environment. She insisted the brand association harmed her professional image. When told Apple cannot certify external conditions, she threatened legal action for reputational damage. She demanded a complimentary device upgrade to restore confidence. The store manager maintained policy and offered diagnostic documentation only. The pitch faltered. The phone did not confess. 35. A high-profile lifestyle coach in Beverly Hills stormed into the Apple Store claiming her iPhone microphone distorted her voice during a paid virtual seminar. She said the slight audio compression made her sound less authoritative and cost her future clients. The technician calmly ran diagnostics and recorded a test clip. The playback sounded clear. He explained that streaming platforms apply their own compression and that room acoustics also matter. She dismissed that explanation and said Apple hardware should compensate for platform flaws automatically. When he suggested using an external microphone for professional broadcasts, she accused him of upselling accessories to fix a defect. She demanded a written acknowledgement that the phone underperformed during revenue-generating activity. The manager reiterated that the device passed all tests. She then threatened to call the police and report the store for refusing to document product failure. Officers were not summoned. The microphone remained innocent. Her ego was the only thing clipping. 36. A wealthy divorce attorney in Manhattan demanded that Apple unlock her locked-out iPhone immediately after too many failed passcode attempts. She admitted she kept guessing because she knew it was something meaningful. The specialist explained the security lockout process and the need to restore through official channels. She insisted she had court in the morning and national security-level urgency. When told security features cannot be bypassed in store, she accused Apple of obstructing her legal practice. She began recording staff and loudly stating that her civil rights were being denied. The manager calmly repeated the data protection policy. She threatened to file a complaint with the state attorney general for digital interference with legal proceedings. When asked to lower her voice, she refused and demanded an employee be terminated for noncompliance. The passcode system did not flinch. It simply counted attempts without emotion. 37. A tech influencer in Miami accused the Apple Store of racial discrimination because her Genius Bar appointment was delayed by 15 minutes. The employee apologized and explained that a prior repair took longer than expected. She insisted that delays are never random and demanded proof that other customers were treated equally. The manager calmly showed the appointment queue without personal details. She began live streaming, claiming systemic bias in tech spaces. Staff remained composed and offered complimentary coffee while she waited. She said refreshments do not erase injustice. She demanded a written apology signed by the store manager, acknowledging discrimination. When told there was no evidence of bias, she threatened to escalate to corporate diversity offices and local news. Other customers watched in silence. The appointment eventually proceeded. The delay was brief. The accusation was dramatic. 38. A meticulous accountant in Dallas refused to leave the Apple Store after being denied a full refund for a 2-year-old iPad she claimed never met her expectations. She admitted she used it daily for work, but said satisfaction is subjective and should override policy timelines. The employee explained the 14-day return window clearly. She declared that rigid timelines violate consumer freedom. When the manager reiterated policy, she sat on the showroom bench and announced she would remain until justice was served. Staff politely informed her that refusal to leave could result in security involvement. She dared them to call law enforcement over customer dissatisfaction. Eventually, mall security approached. She accused Apple of criminalizing feedback. The iPad had been fully functional for years. The return period had expired long ago. Her protest outlasted reason. 39. A self-described privacy advocate in Seattle demanded that Apple provide a sworn affidavit that her iPhone camera never activates without her consent. The technician showed privacy indicators and system permissions. She insisted visual indicators could be manipulated. When told Apple cannot produce individualized affidavits, she accused the company of covert surveillance. She requested access to internal engineering documentation. The manager declined and offered official privacy statements. She threatened to report the store to federal authorities for potential espionage. Staff remained calm and asked her to lower her voice. She responded by calling the non-emergency police line from inside the store to report possible digital misconduct. Officers arrived and found no issue. The green camera dot remained exactly where it belongs. Her suspicion had more screen time than facts. 40. A real estate broker in Phoenix demanded Apple replace her MacBook because her Zoom call froze during a high-value property negotiation. Diagnostics showed no hardware fault. The technician explained that network instability can cause video interruptions. She refused that answer and said a premium laptop should anticipate connectivity issues. When told that internet providers control network stability, she accused Apple of hiding behind technicalities. She loudly demanded that the store reimburse her for lost commission. The manager calmly declined and offered documentation of device health. She threatened immediate legal action and insisted on speaking to corporate headquarters while standing at the demo table. Staff requested she step aside for other customers. She refused until security escorted her out. The MacBook remained functional. The deal had already fallen apart. 41. A suburban mother in Atlanta called the police because the Apple Store would not replace her son's shattered iPhone under standard warranty. She admitted he dropped it down concrete stairs, but insisted accidents are part of normal teenage life. The technician explained that accidental damage requires Apple Care or paid repair. She raised her voice and accused the store of exploiting families. When the manager repeated the policy, she stepped outside and dialed emergency services claiming fraud. Officers arrived and calmly confirmed that warranty terms are contractual. She demanded the employee be cited for deceptive business practices. The officers declined and advised her to pursue civil channels if desired. She returned inside, declaring she would sue everyone present. The screen was cracked. The logic was louder. 42. A fashion entrepreneur in New York demanded that a specific employee be fired because he told her the iPhone color she wanted was out of stock. She claimed his tone carried disrespect. The employee had simply checked inventory and apologized. She insisted that inventory shortages are signs of poor management and that someone must be held accountable. The store manager offered to order the device for delivery. She refused and said inconvenience equals incompetence. She began recording the employee's name badge and demanded corporate contact information. When staff asked her to stop filming customers in the background, she accused them of silencing her. She threatened to launch a social media campaign targeting the employee personally. The phone color was temporarily unavailable. Her reaction was fully stocked. 43. A wellness guru in Portland accused Apple of medical negligence because her Apple Watch fall detection triggered accidentally during yoga. She said the alert embarrassed her in front of clients. The technician explained that sensitivity can be adjusted and that the feature is optional. She insisted false alerts create emotional trauma. When told the system is designed for safety, she accused Apple of irresponsibly alarming emergency contacts. She demanded compensation for reputational harm. The manager offered to disable the feature and review settings. She refused and said safety tools should never misinterpret graceful movement. She threatened to report the device to medical regulatory agencies. The watch detected motion. It did not evaluate dignity. 44. A corporate executive in Chicago demanded Apple sign a letter accepting responsibility for her missed flight after her boarding pass would not load in wallet due to weak airport Wi-Fi. The technician confirmed her phone functioned normally. He explained that airline apps and airport networks operate independently. She insisted brand integration implies shared accountability. When told Apple cannot assume liability for third-party services, she raised her voice and accused the store of abandoning business travelers. She demanded to speak to someone with real authority. The manager calmly reiterated the separation of services. She threatened to file a multi-million-dollar lawsuit for travel disruption. The boarding pass eventually loaded on cellular data. The outrage had already departed. 45. A digital marketing consultant in Austin claimed her iPhone autocorrect sabotaged her professional credibility by changing a client's name in an email. The technician showed how predictive text learns from user patterns and can be disabled. She said intelligent software should know when stakes are high. When offered help adjusting keyboard settings, she refused and demanded Apple compensate her for reputational damage. She accused the company of careless automation. The manager explained that final message review rests with the sender. She threatened to pursue damages for algorithmic negligence. The keyboard remained a tool. Accountability did not autocorrect. 46. A high-end boutique owner in Los Angeles refused to leave the Apple Store until she received a complimentary upgrade because her 3-year-old iPhone no longer felt premium. Diagnostics showed it working properly. The employee suggested battery replacement or trade-in options. She dismissed those and said brand loyalty should be rewarded spontaneously. When told upgrades require payment, she accused Apple of undervaluing long-term customers. She sat at the display table and announced she would occupy the space until treated fairly. Security eventually approached. She threatened to sue for unlawful removal from a public retail environment. The device functioned exactly as designed. The entitlement required more storage. 47. A political consultant in Washington demanded Apple provide internal engineering documentation proving that her phone's dropped call was not intentional interference. She said the timing coincided with a sensitive conversation. The technician explained network variability and signal strength factors. She accused the store of participating in surveillance suppression. When told that dropped calls are common in low-coverage areas, she demanded access to tower logs. The manager declined and offered diagnostic reports. She threatened to involve federal investigators and accused staff of obstructing democracy. She began loudly reading her constitutional rights in the showroom. Customers stared. The call had dropped in an underground parking garage. The conspiracy soared above ground. 48. A luxury travel blogger in Miami demanded that Apple reimburse her for hotel costs because her iPhone charger malfunctioned during a trip. Inspection revealed the cable was third-party and frayed. The technician explained that non-certified accessories may fail and offered to sell a genuine replacement. She refused and said Apple should protect users from inferior market products. When told the accessory was not manufactured by Apple, she accused the company of creating a confusing ecosystem. She demanded reimbursement for the entire vacation inconvenience. The manager calmly declined and reiterated accessory guidelines. She threatened to contact consumer protection agencies and file a formal complaint. The frayed cable lay on the counter. Accountability did not. 49. A high-powered venture capitalist in Silicon Valley accused Apple of economic sabotage because her FaceTime froze during a funding pitch. Diagnostics again showed No hardware fault. The technician explained network instability and bandwidth limits. She insisted premium devices should guarantee uninterrupted communication regardless of infrastructure. When told Apple cannot control global internet conditions, she accused the company of misleading investors worldwide. She demanded written confirmation that her device was incapable of failure. The manager offered performance logs instead. She threatened immediate litigation for financial damages tied to technological unreliability. The phone handled every other call that day without issue. The investment did not. 50. A suburban mother in Houston dialed emergency services from inside the Apple Store, claiming the staff were withholding essential communication tools after being told her data could not be recovered from a water-damaged phone without prior backup. The technician explained that severe liquid damage often destroys storage components. She insisted that as a parent she has the right to retrieve every photo ever taken. When told recovery is not guaranteed, she accused the store of emotional cruelty. Police arrived and confirmed no crime occurred. She demanded officers compel the technician to extract the data. They declined. She left declaring she would sue for loss of memories. The phone had no backup. The blame had plenty. 51. A tech startup founder in New York demanded Apple issue a public apology press release because her iPhone battery died during a live televised interview. She admitted she ignored the low battery warning. The technician explained battery percentages and charging recommendations. She insisted a premium device should override user negligence in high-stakes moments. When told devices cannot predict broadcast schedules, she accused Apple of sabotaging female entrepreneurs. She demanded the store contact corporate communications immediately. Staff calmly refused and offered a battery health check. She threatened a class action lawsuit for systemic battery discrimination. She stood in the center of the store announcing that innovation has failed her personally. The battery warning had flashed clearly. The accountability warning never did. So yes, the phones worked, the policies existed, and reality stayed consistent. Tell me your favorite meltdown below, then subscribe for the next wave of premium outrage.